The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Chevy, the Florida Lottery, Best Parts, Best Prices, Bennett Auto Supply, Contender Boats, Performance Through Innovation, Navionics, We Start Where the Roads End, and Guy Harvey, artist, explorer, marine scientist, conservationist, and diver.
Listen, this Chevy Silverado is not happy. It's not happy because it's not doing anything, because it knows you have a to-do list with unchecked boxes, because it was built to constantly be on the prowl to get more done. Patience is not the Silverado's virtue. Doing is. The dependable, reliable Chevy Silverado.
Continuing the revolution. Faster, drier, even better built. Designed around Yamaha's latest technology outboards. Still built by the same craftsmen and anglers who launched the Bay Boat Revolution. Whether chasing world records, or time on the water with the family, or anything in between, there's a new Pathfinder model for you. Pathfinder, #1 for a reason, still.
For over 30 years, Guy Harvey has masterfully captured the wonder of marine wildlife in his artwork. Now he's sharing his inspiration with the Florida Lottery by creating 12 exclusive images for the Collector Series Guy Harvey Scratch-Off game, featuring a top prize of $50,000 and a second chance opportunity to fish with Guy Harvey himself. Celebrate the beauty and riches of Florida with Guy Harvey Scratch-Off games today. The Florida Lottery. Just imagine.
It's 200 streamlined horsepower of Yamaha forward thinking. The all-new F200 inline 4-stroke. Whether you're an offshore angler, pontoon cruiser, bay boater, or walleye hunter, the responsive and fuel-efficient F200 combines amazing power and versatility in one incredibly compact and lightweight package. The all-new F200. Legendary Yamaha reliability and the freedom of forward thinking.
Make sure you check out our website at the Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report.com, where you can get daily reports from our 9 captains. Also, if you'd like to be featured on our show, upload your best photos to our Facebook page. And if you'd like to be part of our studio audience, you can register right there as well. Now let's turn to the Southeast region with Captain Jimbo Thomas. Jimbo, you have plenty of sea trout to work with, right?
That's correct. We do have plenty of sea trout here in the Southeast region. In the south end, the grass flats from Biscayne Bay north to Holliver Inlet holds sea trout year-round. If you're fishing south of Rickenbacker Causeway, you want to fish on the west side of the bay. So you'd be like off of Gables by the Sea, Mercy Hospital area. Those are great areas. Then once you get north of Rickenbacker Causeway, you're basically fishing in the Intercoastal Waterway. So you can fish them either the east or the west side of the bay, anywhere you got good grass flats. And then once you get north of Holliver Inlet, there's kind of a dead zone all the way up to Lake Worth Inlet, pretty much. There are some trout in there, but it's just not very productive. In the grass beds, the grass flats are just kind of non-existent. But the best trout fishing in the north end is in the Lake Worth Lagoon and the Intercoastal Waterway from Southern Boulevard Bridge south to High Biloxo Island. And then I've been talking with Captain Alan Sherman. He's been fishing the grass flats from Rickenbacker Causeway north to 79th Street Causeway, and that's in the Miami area. He's been finding plenty of trout. He's been using a Cajun Thunder, fishing with a small live pinfish or a pilchard, or a 1/4 ounce hookup jig head with a Trigger X or Gulp shrimp. The trout have been biting best first thing in the morning before the water gets too hot. And he says once the water starts getting hot, they've been moving out into deeper water to cool off, I guess. And then the best flats to fish are the ones that are holding bait, particularly mullet. There's been some schools of mullet working in the Intercoastal Waterway. And these trout have been following these schools of mullet. They've been eating the small bait fish and the shrimp. That gets stirred up as the mullet mud up the bottom. And then in last week, Captain Allen, he's had sea trout up to 5 pounds. He said he had one, had a whole mullet in its belly even. So they are up there and they're eating. Staying inshore, I've been talking with Captain Tony Fowler. He tells me that the peacock bass fishing has been on fire. He's been fishing the Blue Lagoon or the Airport Lakes in the canals of South Dade, If you can find the bait, he tells me you're going to catch the peacocks because they're following and feeding on these schools of small minnows. There must have been a hatch of these minnows, and these peacocks are following them, just chowing down on them. Since they've been eating small minnows, he's been fishing with small baits. He's just kind of matching the hatch. He's been using real small rapalas and chartreuse or blue and silver, and he said a 1/4 ounce DOA Terror Eye has been working really well, and as well as real small live shiners. And he says there's no need to get an early start because these peacocks like to bite the best in the heat of the day. I guess in the Amazon where they're originally from, it's nice and warm there, so they wait for it to warm up good. There's also been some nice-sized snook and some small tarpon in those Blue Lagoon lakes as well. So he's catching fresh and saltwater fish in the fresh water there. Moving offshore.
Wait, Jimbo, do you have a photo?
Oh, you're right. I do have me a photo here. This is Eileen Angulo of Miami with a nice 7-pound peacock. She caught that in the Blue Lagoon Lake with Captain Tony Fowler there.
Look how beautiful those fins are with that sun lit behind it. That's awesome. Thank you for sending that in, Eileen. All right, Jimbo, let's go offshore where you make your money. Come on, sorry.
You got it. Well, there's still plenty of sailfish being caught along the edge of the Gulf Stream, and as long as this north current keeps going and the water stays blue, the good fishing should continue. Now, most of the sails, we're catching them on live herrings and pilchards fished under a kite or flatlining them in 120 to 180 feet of water. In the last week, there's been a very defined color change, and the best fishing has been on the blue water side of that color change. Also on that color change, and it's getting a little late in the season, but we're still finding some really nice blackfin tunas. We've been catching them on our kite-fished or flatline herrings and pilchards in that same 100 to 180-foot depth of water. And the same setup's been working on both the sails and the tunas. I've been using 50-pound monofilament leader and a 7/0 circle hook, but if you want to go with fluorocarbon, it definitely cannot hurt. And if the kings are biting, adding a short piece of wire leader will definitely help for the cutoffs, and it shouldn't affect the tuna bite too much. As a matter of fact, a few of the tunas that we caught this week, we caught them on the rigs with the wire leaders. It definitely hasn't affected that bonita bite because there's been a lot of bonitas around. But the best fishing has been first thing in the morning and then late into the afternoon. And if you can find enough live pilchards to chum with, which I haven't been able to do that lately, you should not have any problem getting those tunas going really good.
All right, Jimbo, before we go, I got a question for you. You know, as it does get hot, the water temperatures heat up. What do you typically do, or how do you change your game plan from day to day to go offshore?
Well, you know, offshore, it definitely doesn't get affected from the temperature like it does inshore because of the depth of the water. So it's not going to heat up like the flats do. So most of the, you know, with the wave action and stuff like that, it's keeping that water a fairly constant temperature. But we do notice a lot of times first thing in the morning and then really late in the afternoon, the bite does pick up. But if those water conditions are good, more often than not, that's the bigger factor than the water temperature.
All right, well, thanks for clearing that up for me. That's a great idea so that guys don't really have to change their game plan if they got that pretty blue water. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the sports grill hotspots from the southeast region inshore. Look for those sea trout following the schools of mudding mullet around the grass flats of the ICW. And then offshore, fish the color change with live baits late in the afternoon for sailfish, blackfin tunas, and kings and dolphin, Lauren.
All right, well, Rick, now we need to head to the Yeti Northwest region where Captain Jeff Hageman holds post. Captain Jeff, the sea trout is fished often in your parts, is that right?
They're one of the most fished fish in my region. We got people who come from all over Georgia, Alabama. They all come down to go trout fishing. It's a very common thing to do. It's very easy for the kids to do. You can get out there with a popping cork and a shrimp and just have a good time with it. It's easy to do. It's easy to learn, and there's a lot of them, so it's fun to do. But you can catch them throughout my whole region. Like I said before, it's the most fished species in my region. Fly, plug, soft plastic, shrimp, bait fish imitations, they're all really effective. Trout can be found in the grass flats in anywhere from 1 to 12 feet of water, depending on the water temp, and Rick was just talking about the water temp. Trout are an ambush feeder, so they're going to sit still and let bait come to them. So you want tidal movement. Any kind of tidal movement you can find across the grass flat, whether it's incoming or outgoing, that's when the fish are going to be feeding the best. You want to fish around Broken Bottom. I was talking about that before. They're ambush feeders. They sit in these white sand holes in our areas around the grass flats. And there's different kinds of grass up there. We got turtle and eelgrass. And they'll sit in these sand holes and wait for baits to come to them. So when you're out there jigging or throwing popping corks or anything like that, look for these white sand holes and pay extra attention to them and make a couple extra casts. You'll catch fish over the grass too, but most of them will be concentrated around those sand holes or show little breaks in the grass.
All right,
But,
Jeff, before you go to your next inshore species, got a question for you about trout. Now, you've got the biggest region of all the regions. Now, what you described is some fishing that you really do in that Tampa, Clearwater, and just slightly north. Does that change as you get up in the curve of your region?
No, it doesn't really. Well, the structure is going to change a little bit. There's a lot more oysters and a lot more rocks once you get up north of my region, but there's still a lot of grass. So the fish are going to be concentrated around those oyster bars and shell bars and Spartina grass cuts and all that stuff like that and holes, but they're going to stay to that current pattern and over that grass. So, and there's also breaks in that grass out there, whether it be rock or whether it be sand. So you want to target those areas.
All right, speaking of current and grass, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the snook fishing in your region.
Captain Jamie Goodwin reports of GoFloridaFishing.com, a great snook bite right now in Tarpon Springs to Clearwater. You want to look for fish on the beaches and the passes, around jetties, near the docks, next to the passes. Anything with good moving water, I was talking about that with the trout, snook are the same way, is what you want to concentrate on. The outgoing tide's been the best right now, but the incoming tide's doing all right. You want to use a pinfish or grass grunt. That's been the best bait for the big fish right now, those big females that are out on the beach. And anywhere from 30 to 40 pound fluorocarbon, Suffolk leader. A little bit of lead, depending on how fast that current's moving. You're going to have to change your lead through the tide. But as it starts going, you can start off with a quarter, move up to a half, and as it starts cranking, you might even have to go up to a 2-ounce lead. But you want to get that bait right on the bottom and make that natural drift through the pass or on the beach, right on the corner of the beach where you're fishing, and let that bait go out or next to a jetty. Docks, you want to kind of hold them steady. You're going to have to beef up your gear a little bit. On the beaches, you don't have to use that heavy of gear. But some of these bigger fish around the docks, you're going to have to even get into some tarpon gear or some grouper gear to pull them away from the docks. But there's some good fish out there right now, all the way up to 25 pounds, and even some fish I've been hearing getting out to 30. So we got some great snook fishing going right now. They did open it back up, but we don't have enough of them right now, and I'm kind of preaching to the choir, but try and let them all go if you can.
All right, well, let's talk about some grouper fishing offshore. What do you got?
Group fishing offshore has been really good throughout my whole region. It's been on fire. The fish are still a little shallow yet. I'm saying 80 to 120 feet of water, but you can still catch them in that 60-foot range right now. So you don't have to go that far. That 80 to 120 has been really, really, really consistent. But like I said, that 60 foot of water has been really good. Rock piles, ledges, pinfish, and cut sardines have been really good. It's a choice. Standard bottom rig. We're using out there fish up to 20 pounds, so you might want to beef up your gear a little bit. There's been a lot of big fish right now reported. And the average in right now is anywhere from 4 to 7 pounds, so a lot of good fish. And speaking of my second favorite fish other than tarpon is permit fishing. Right now, that's going off really good in the bottom third of my region. Anywhere from fish up to 30 pounds are being caught on high relief structures. Now, a lot of these wrecks out there, and these are artificial, most of them. There's some private ones, but most of the guys that are fishing these public wrecks that are out there. And a lot of guys don't. They get out there and they just pull up to the wreck and anchor off, drive around it a couple times. Don't do that if you're going out there permit fishing. Approach it kind of slow, kind of drift over it a couple times, throw a couple crabs out. Permit are really curious, so they're going to come up and look at you and trying to figure out what you are, and you might be able to get one before you even get anchored up. But you want to anchor up above the structures right now. Fish are anywhere from 25 to 60 feet of water. Crabs are the trick. If you can get crabs, and on that moon they were flowing like mad, so there's a lot of crabs to go out there and dip for, and there should still be some for the next few days, drifting out early in the morning before you head out. But crabs have been the trick, anywhere from 25 to 30 pound Suffolk fluorocarbon leader. A 2-aught BMC circle hook's been the rig to use, and the longer the leader, the better. They've got really good eyesight, so you want to have a really long leader, and that'll get you a little more hookups. And I've got a photo of 3 great permit right now caught on a reefing outing by Scott, Becky, and Kevin.
All right, good job. Thanks, Jeff. We're going to go ahead, and it's a great report from the Yeti Northwest region. Go ahead and look at the hot spots from the Drummond Community Bake hot spots. Inshore, tarpon on the beaches in the morning and late in the afternoon. Look for the rolling fish. Use thread fins for bait. Offshore, groupers and snappers over the high relief structure in 50 to 120 feet of water, Lauren.
Okay, when we return, we're going to have the Costa Conservation Minute, and we'll check in with Randy Tao in the Keys. Stick around.
The Chevy Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Rapala. Catch the latest at Rapala.com. Reactor, the best built performance sports watch, period. StarTron, cures and prevents ethanol fuel problems. Strike Zone Fishing. Suffix, the world's most hardcore fishing line. And Yamaha, reliability starts here.
At highway speeds, things can get pretty windy. That's why the Chevrolet Cruze Eco has active aero grille shutters that close at higher speeds to improve aerodynamics. With an EPA estimated 42 miles per gallon highway, the Chevrolet Cruze Eco offers the best highway fuel economy of any gas engine in America. Always thinking of ways to give you more while using less. That's American ingenuity to find new roads.
For over 30 years, Guy Harvey has masterfully captured the wonder of marine wildlife in his artwork. Now he's sharing his inspiration with the Florida Lottery by creating 12 exclusive images for the Collector Series Guy Harvey Scratch-Off game, featuring a top prize of $50,000 and a second chance opportunity to fish with Guy Harvey himself. Celebrate the beauty and riches of Florida with Guy Harvey Scratch-Off games today. The Florida Lottery. Just imagine.
You already know about the La Jolla Resort in Isla Mirada, so let's talk about the La Jolla experience. With an on-site boat ramp, the Gulf of Mexico and the Atlantic is just minutes away. And when you return from fishing, there's barbecue pits to cook your catch while your family enjoys the pool or one of our new remodeled rooms. This historic resort, the La Jolla, is family-owned and operated and has a friendly staff ready to make your La Jolla experience a really great one.
You know there's more to it than luck. There's fishing the right bait, the water temperature, the wind, the season, and then there's the boat. We'll put it simply, the boat matters. To own a Contender is to own the best sport fishing boat on the market, period. Contender offers the most comprehensive model range with bigger, faster, and more fuel-efficient boats than the competition. There's only one choice for serious anglers. Contender Boats. Performance through innovation.
Today's Costa Conservation Minute is about bait. Now guys, understand that there was some confusion when we did our bait show about the different names for the different baits in different regions. So let's go over this. Guys, there's mullet. Mullet are black mullet, silver mullet, and finger mullet. Now whether a finger mullet is a baby black mullet or a silver, I don't know. I'm not a biologist. But let's talk a little bit about pilchards. Pilchards are pilchards, but we call them razor bellies, we call them white bait, we call them greenies in some place, and then I gotta tell you, greenies are actually thread fins. So I don't want to confuse you, but a thread fin herring is what most guys call greenies. So let's not get confused here. They are very similar in shape, but razor bellies are pilchards. Greenies are thread fins. So make sure that you understand that this is more of an offshore bait, maybe a big fish bait, versus a pilchard could be used for a variety of different types of baits. A great bait for chumming. Certainly, in the Panhandle region, a pinfish is called a chofer. There's no mistaking about that. And sardines are sardines, whether they're scaled sardines and they're not cigar minnows. So I hope that clarifies it, and that's today's Costa Conservation Minute.
Thanks, Rick. Good stuff there. Captain Randy Tao is in the Florida Keys, our La Jolla region. And Randy, trout fishing is pretty popular in your area.
Hey, guys. Good evening. You know, sea trout, it's probably the #1 go-to fish in the Keys, from around the Keys, just short in the backcountry, or all the way to Flamingo. or the West Coast, it seems like we've got trout everywhere you want to try to fish for them. Now, there's a lot of ways to catch the trout around here. A lot of guys will jig in some of the channels where you got a good current flowing through, and some guys will look for some muddy water out in the middle of a lake. And when you have some wind, you can spot these muds. They're pretty obvious when you can see the cloudy water, and you can drift through those with a jig. A quarter-ounce hookup with a shrimp on it is a deadly trout bait to catch trout in my region. You can use artificial, any sort of soft plastics. A Trigger X works great. But a lot of the trout you're going to find along the edges of the channels, or you're going to find in some of the grassy spots where you got some good moving current. That's what you want to find is some current in the area. You're going to be looking for these things, and a lot of trout can be found in different places throughout the Keys. Very popular for us here, and probably the one fish that everybody catches on a daily basis.
All right, let's stay in short.
Our tarpon fishing right now, around the Keys, we're starting to slow down a little bit. Here we are coming into July. The tarpon around the bridges, most of the guys are going at night. There's been a pretty good night bite. We're just coming off a full moon, and a lot of these fish are still eating crabs. Now, we're in a transition right now. It starts to slow down around the Keys area. A lot of these fish are migrating north, but the backcountry fishing is just now going to start picking up a little bit. We've got some great fishing back there, July, August, September, even into October when the mullet run starts coming down the beaches on the West Coast. So there's still some tarpon fishing coming just around town. It's getting a little bit slower because they're thinning out, migrating up the coast. Now, the fly fishing guys are still getting some shots on the ocean side, not as many as they've had. Here again, we're coming off that moon. I think a lot of these fish have kind of vacated and moved up the coast, but we still have some pretty good tarpon fishing.
All right, Randy, I know you got great offshore fishing in the Keys 365 days out of the year, so tell me what's happening.
Blackfin tuna this time of year are one of the most popular fish offshore because a lot of guys are going offshore dolphin fishing, and the bite has been pretty far offshore for the dolphins. So they're also looking for the tunas on these offshore humps. The Alamrata hump, the Marathon humps, the 409 humps. These are areas that you can target these blackfin tunas first thing in the morning when you get out there. If you want to just catch some for dinner, put out a dark feather, a small dark lure, put it way behind the boat, a couple of 100 feet, and you're going to troll up some nice dinner-sized tuna. We're talking about 5 to 8 pounds on average, these tunas, and you can usually catch them pretty quick. They're fairly easy to catch at times. Now, if you want to target some of the bigger tunas, there's plenty of 25, 30-pound tunas caught out there, but you got to fish for them a certain way, and that's live bait. You need live pilchards. You need to go out there with a couple of 100, 1,000 if you can get them. The more you can chum, the better it's going to be to get the fish up, and that's what you're going to do. You're going to live chum for these tunas as you drift over the hump with some of your rods with hooks on them, mixed in with your chum bait. That's how you're going to catch these tunas. Quite a few of them around right now.
Tell me about the dolphin fishing, Bub.
Dolphin fishing is still going strong. Now, the last couple of days, they've been on the small side. Most guys I've been talking to are talking about the dolphin being shakers. These are ones that you got to let go. They're small. They're under the size limit. So you really got to weed through to try to find some nicer dolphin right now. And some of these bigger fish have been out to 1,800, 2,000 feet of water. So they're pretty far offshore, about 30 miles for us to travel. You're still looking for the birds. That's going to be your key. I've got a photo of 10-year-old Alexander Lively with his mom, Jody, fishing over the weekend. That was a nice dolphin that we caught. Now, we paid our dues catching little ones before we got that one. And also a nice picture of a bull dolphin with Matt Clark fishing with RT out of Key West.
All right, Randy, real quickly, you talked about shakers. We talk about gaffers. Tell me what the categories are. How does it go from smallest to biggest?
Well, when you start talking about big dolphin, anything over 20 pounds is going to be a slammer. Those are the big dolphin that we're looking for. A gaffer is going to be in that 10-pound range, 15-pound range. If you try to lift him in the boat, you're going to break the line. And then, of course, the schoolies, plenty of schoolies right now, which are great for the dinner table, but a big mess when you get them in the boat.
All right, Bub, great report from the La Jolla, Florida Keys region. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the Florida Keys inshore. Snook, fish the shorelines on the incoming tide, use live pinfish on 3/8 hookup jigs, and 12 to 20 pound rod. And then offshore, blackfin tuna fish the humps from Islamorada to Marathon, troll small dark feathers way back, or bring lots of live baits to chum up the big ones, Lauren.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Now it's time to check in and see what tournaments are going on in the Keys. Coming up this weekend, it's the Mercury Marine Ladies Dolphin Championship in Key West. Scheduled for Friday and Saturday, it offers more than $10,000 in cash and prizes and benefits the Jose Wahebe Foundation. Also this weekend, the 13th Annual Dolphin and Blackfin Tuna Fun Fishing Tournament in Marathon. Cash prizes go out to the angler with the 3 heaviest dolphin, with additional awards for the heaviest blackfin tuna and wahoo. On July 7th, it's the IFC Junior Dolphin Tournament in Islamorada. Anglers 18 and under can compete for trophies for the highest combined weight of 3 dolphin. The Islamorada Dolphin Tournament is July 12th through the 14th. $15,000 in cash and prizes is up for grabs at the event hosted by the Islamorada Charter Boat Association. And finally, the Del Brown Permit Tournament is set for July 14th through the 17th in Key West. Now let's hear from Andy Newman in the Florida Keys about the featured tournament. Hey, Andy.
Well, hi, guys. Among the richest tournaments in the Florida Keys is the Drambuie Key West Marlin Tournament. Now, it's set for July 17th to the 20th. And as we show you some video from last year, this tournament is staged in conjunction with Key West's annual Hemingway Days Festival. Now, this festival honors Ernest Hemingway, an avid sport fisherman who lived in Key West during the 1930s. Now, this is a release-oriented competition. There's $50,000 in guaranteed cash prizes with a cool $25,000 first place prize. Now, more details on the Drambuie, they're at keywestmarlin.com, or of course, go to the Florida Keys website. It's flakeys.com. Back to you in the studio.
You know, Lauren, we actually have Hemingway's look-alike right here in the studio, live audience. We're going to send him down and actually enter him in the contest in a few weeks.
There he is. Okay, guys, when we return, we're going to tell you what's coming up next week. Stick with us. There's Ernest right over there.
For over 30 years, Guy Harvey has masterfully captured the wonder of marine wildlife in his artwork. Now he's sharing his inspiration with the Florida Lottery by creating 12 exclusive images for the Collector Series Guy Harvey Scratch-Off game, featuring a top prize of $50,000 and a second chance opportunity to fish with Guy Harvey himself. Celebrate the beauty and riches of Florida with Guy Harvey Scratch-Off games today. The Florida Lottery. Just imagine.
Want the power of a V8 with the highway fuel economy of a V6? Yes, sir. 40,000 more warranty miles than an F-150 work for you?
Sure does.
And you get 2 years of scheduled maintenance. Nice.
Copy that.
Sold.
Chevy Silverado. Right now, get 0% APR financing for 60 months, plus Chevy truck owners can trade up for an additional $2,500 total cash allowance, or Chevy truck owners can choose cash allowance and trade up to get a total value of $8,500.
Hi, I lost a big fish earlier today. Wasn't using suffix. It was about this big.
Look, slow down there, cowboy, okay? A fish in the lost it van, huh? You want your fish. Sorry, honey, that fish is gone.
Always use the best line, suffix 832.
It's got the punch of a heavyweight and the pounds of a lightweight. Welcome to the main event featuring the new Yamaha 4-stroke F70. Tipping the scales at up to 142 pounds lighter than its 4-stroke competitors. That's a class-leading power-to-weight ratio, a haymaker of a whole shot, surprising mid-range punch, incredible fuel economy, and industry-leading innovation, performance, and reliability. The Yamaha 4-stroke F70. Reliability starts here.
If you like fishing or the history of fishing, then I have a must-see place for you. The IGFA Fishing Hall of Fame and Museum in Dania Beach. What makes the IGFA so cool is that they have theaters where you can learn about the journey of fishing, galleries where the kids can see antique reels or catch a big one. The Hall of Fame room has over 140 beautiful fish mounts, and maybe in the E.K. Harry Library, you may see a live alligator. For more family fun, go to igfa.org.
Next week, we're talking marlin. Make sure to check us out next Thursday, July 4th. You can also catch repeats on Friday and Saturday. Just visit Sun Sports and your local listings for more details.
You know, Harry, we got your birthday, but we also have one of our studio audience, Michael's
I found out
birthday.
about Michael, and I brought Michael a Captain Harry hat and a Captain Harry shirt. And I know I look just as young as Michael, so this is what's great about
brothers,
it.
Rick. Birthday
We're
brothers.
teenagers.
16, but the most important part of this ordeal, you're 54.
Uh-oh.
But we got some young anglers behind here.
Oh, boy.
This, guys, is actually a cupcake cake. So we got to have some help with all of this.
Oh, I bet they're going to dig into this one.
I hope this one's not gulp flavored.
No gold flavor. So what are you going to do for your birthday this weekend?
I am going to chill out. I'm just going to relax, probably mow the yard, and clean the house, paint, do laundry and stuff like that.
All right, well, you'll be here next week. Hey,
Happy
guys, thank you so much for watching. It's time for the cupcake.